All right. Have you tried creating Facebook ads for your business only to spend a ton of money and fail miserably? If you're interested in creating profitable Facebook ads for your business, you are not going to want to miss this conversation. And I know for me, it's 8:15 in the morning. For my guest, Jody, it's late afternoon. If you're in North America, it is the middle of the night. So there's a good chance you're watching this on a replay, and I know you are going to want to stay tuned. So I'm chatting with my amazing guest, Jody Millward. She's a former private investigator and 2-time 7-figure business owner based in Australia. Thus, the time that we're doing this today. Jody brings her private investigator background into the world of Facebook ads to uncover the clues to creating profitable ads. Welcome, Jody.
Hi, Laura. Thank you for having me and for adjusting for this Australian time zone. Greatly appreciate it.
No problem. Well, as I said, I'm here in Italy, so for me, it's a reasonable time. So if I was in Toronto still, this might not have been the best time. But it's like two something in the morning, so we would have probably tried to find a different time. But anyway, let's talk about Facebook because it is a moving target. If anybody has tried ads, I have, with, I wouldn't say very little success. I'm going to probably say no success. So I'm just as interested to learn from you as I'm sure anybody who watches this. So tell us, you have this background as a private investigator. How has that helped you in the world of Facebook ads?
Well, that's a very interesting question. But first of all, let me reassure you that if you have not had much success with Facebook ads, you are not alone. Okay, many people, and we can talk about that a bit later, what areas to look at to try and improve our Facebook ads. But yes, so the private investigator background, I think that's really helped. I'm like a real researcher. I like looking at analytics. I like to find out what's gone wrong. Like if I'm booking a holiday, for example, I won't just book the first thing that I see. I'm going to do some research, find the best deal, find all those hidden gems that are there. And so that's what I do, like with Facebook ads as well. So just with the private investigator, if I had to track somebody down, I would think outside the box. I'd go look here, there, and everywhere else. There's no stone left unturned. And that's the same thing with our Facebook ads now. It's not just a matter of putting a picture together and putting some words and launching it. The data that comes back from us when we invest into Facebook ads helps us to see what's working and what's not working. And you see, one of the big things that people might think is not working is that their Facebook ads aren't working. Whereas if you actually look at the clues, you follow the numbers and the data, when you know what numbers to look for, you can actually identify where the problem might be. So if you're saying my ads aren't working, I'll say, okay, let's go back and let's look at your ads to start with. What's the click-through rate? Are people clicking on the ads? What's the CPM? That's the cost to reach 1,000 people. How many people? This is a big one because this is not something that Facebook always shows you. How many people are actually clicking on the ad and then landing on the landing page? That's an extra column you've got to bring into your reports. You might think 100 people have clicked on my ad, and so you might just think 100 people have made it to the page, but you might actually see when you look at the landing page views, only 50 people have made it to the page. So you've lost half your audience between the click and landing on the page. Or if they get to the page, what's happening then? How many people on that page are opting in? If it's less than 25%, depending on what they're opting in for. If it's a purchase, then it will be around 2% or 5%. But if that number is off, then that's showing you it's actually a problem with possibly the landing page or a message that's not aligned from the ad to the landing page. So it's being able to look at the clues, go and find these benchmarks that we know, and then find out what the problem is rather than just saying my ads don't work.
So how do you, follow the data? I totally understand that. How do you determine if it's the picture, the text, the audience, the language, what you're asking them to do, like the call to action? How do you decipher what is the thing that might be broken?
Right. Great question. And seriously, if we could just say, well, this is the thing that you change and this will fix everything, then no one would ever have any problems with their Facebook ads, right? But it's a process of elimination. Where we typically would start first, as long as we're pretty confident with the copy in our ad and the headline, we'll start changing and our targeting, the image, okay? Because that's the number one thing that people see when they're scrolling through. So we want that image to, first of all, stop the scroll. So doing the various testing of like, okay, let's try this image or this image is the first place to start. Then there's the headline, because people's eyes would typically go from the image to the headline, then up to who's sending me this, who am I even looking at here? Is it even a friend, or isn't that ad what it might be? Do I know this person? And then the first line of the copy. So looking at the image, then the headline, and then be tweaking the copy, for example. When it comes to targeting, that's where, like, typically, like as an ad manager, we'll have various accounts. We'll have a good idea of what accounts might work for, like if you're targeting female business coaches, right? We have a lot of audiences that, we would be our go-tos. There should always be some research going on, okay? Like looking for those hidden audiences that not everybody knows about, that you can put in with your testing. And really with audiences, there is an unlimited amount. We can get stuck in a bit of a rut of going, okay, this is who I test, like Marie Forleo, Female Entrepreneur Association, entrepreneurs, right?
Yep.
But there are always audiences, even for myself. I'll find someone who's got however many million followers and was like, how did I only find this person now? I've been doing this for years. So there is always new audiences to test. And with that as well, Facebook's changing a lot of audiences. So in the last few months, a lot of stock standard, tried and true audiences have been removed. So it's like, okay, let's go back to the drawing board, do some more research. There's lookalikes that you can create. You can create lookalike audiences of people who have purchased, people who have visited your website. Now, when it comes to lookalikes, you've got to make sure that it's a good sized seed audience. So the larger the audience, the better quality lookalike. So you generally want at least 100 people. That's very, very minimum. So 500, even better. So there's lots of different things that you can do with audiences as well. But there's also a strategy where some people call BANT, broad audience, no targeting, or some of us call it God mode, where it's just, we don't do any targeting really. It's just, it'll be women in America. That might be all the targeting that you do. And with a lot of changes that's happened with Facebook and the iOS updates, a lot of data that has come back to Facebook, they're not getting it because of that app tracking transparency, that notification that people want to opt out of tracking. So Facebook's lost a bit of information. So this is where the God mode targeting, where it's going really broad, can still work really well. But it comes back to making sure that your ad copy, the wording in it, the creative, and the headline is really what's doing the heavy lifting for your ads these days.
So would you suggest, like, is this something you feel that entrepreneurs themselves can create these things, or that they always need to hire somebody to help them with their ads?
Oh, yes. Well, okay, great question. I train a lot of ad managers, and unfortunately, a lot of ad managers take on clients because they want to help, right? They have this heart to serve, they know they can help, but they end up taking on a client who is actually not ready to hire done for you services. And I completely get it. Like that entrepreneur is like, I don't want to learn how to run Facebook ads. I don't have time to learn how to run Facebook ads. I'm trying to be the bookkeeper, the accountant, the coach, the consultant, the everything I don't possibly have room for another hat to be the pay-per-click expert here. So ad manager goes, okay, I can help you. But the truth is that if they're not at a point to hire, then they need to roll up their sleeves and learn. And I typically say a benchmark of having about $4,000 minimum for your Facebook ads, okay? Which includes
to spend on the ads.
Including a retainer, okay? So if you get a reputable ad manager, they would be $1,000 to $2,000 a month, right? And then you'd have $3,000 to $2,000 or so for your Facebook ads. I think $100 a day is a great budget. That gives you room to test a few different audiences. This is particularly if you're doing conversion campaigns, getting someone to opt in or getting someone to purchase, because they cost a bit these days. So you need to have that fuel, that investment, so that Facebook can go and get that data for you. And the faster that you can do that, the more you can invest into getting that data, you'll get answers back sooner of like, okay, our landing page is not converting, our ads are not converting, and you'll be able to make those data-driven decisions. Now, I know a lot of people might go, $100 a day, what? And you don't have that? Well, start with what you can, okay? But that's the benchmarks that I'm saying. If you want to invest in having someone running your ads for you, then you also want to have a decent kind of budget so that they can get that data for you. So if you're under that benchmark, you could still hire an ad manager for you to do like a setup service to get your campaigns up and running, give you some coaching or consulting to help steer you in the right direction so you're not completely alone and just relying on YouTube videos that are out of date. But there are other strategies, like I have this client attraction code. It's a $10 a day strategy that's just building up brand awareness, that's getting you out in front of your audience that you can then retarget and nurture. And so they get to see you in their newsfeed and, you know, that know, like, and trust factor. So,
and what was that? Sorry, you have a $10 a day. Is that
Yep.
something people can purchase, like a kind of a guide?
Yep, they can. It's made more for ad managers, so you actually get in the driver's seat of what an ad manager would kind of do. So you get the inside scoop with all of that. So that's great, building brand awareness and getting, you know, out in front of your audience. And it's particularly great, like if you spend any time creating organic posts, well, you want people to see those organic posts. So just putting some ad spend behind them so your hard work gets seen and you build up that know, like, and trust with the audience. So it depends on what your goals are for the ads. If you are wanting people to opt in for your list, if you're wanting people to sign up for your webinar, to purchase something, then they are the more expensive things. And $100 a day, great. But, you know, even at $30 a day, you could do like a $20 ad set or even a $30 ad set, or your budget could go there until you get some retargeting, or $20 and the $10 a day client attraction code kind of thing. But yeah, the key is to get a bit detached. I know it's super stressful putting money in Facebook ads, but you're getting data, and that's what you need to do to see if your offer, if all the pieces of your funnel, which you've worked so hard to put together, to, you know, dial them in and start getting sales and results.
Do you find there's ever somebody who's not ready, like that it's Facebook ads are not what they should be investing in yet?
Yep, all the time.
Okay, so tell us, because I think there's a lot of people that are like, I need to put money into Facebook ads, and I'm like, ooh, but do you? Is that really where you need to start? So I'd love to hear your perspective on when is the right time, or when is it maybe too early for you to invest in that?
Sure. So with ad managers, I would typically say, here's some red flags of when someone's not ready to run ads and what to do instead. So first of all, does someone, what are the goals that they have? Do they want to do list building? Because maybe they're building a product that they're getting ready to sell and they want to start getting people onto their list to promote to. That's great. Then go, do they have the budget for list building, knowing that they're not going to be making any sales or returns for however many months, and that they're just investing into this. Now that could work because you've got people who have a 9-to-5, or they've got another income source and they're wanting to get this up and running. So that's fine, but just making sure, do they have, like I mentioned before, okay, it's going to cost you, say, $4,000 a month for the next 3 months. So are you prepared to be spending that so we can get this data, build your list, and then start to try and make sales when you've got your offer created? So that's one thing. Is there an Ascension offer? So if someone says, I've got this $27 product, you've probably seen a lot of them in the newsfeed over the years, a $27 product, I want to run ads for that, and that's going to make me $1 million. Well, it can. I have a client that had a $27 product and we made $1 million. But typically you need an Ascension offer, okay? When they come in and buy that $27 offer, that's typically where it will be what we call self-liquidating, that it would just, it'll cost you $27 to get that $27 sale or close to it. So what's the next offer? So, okay, you need that Ascension ladder. So is there then a $2,000 program? Is there a $5,000 group coaching thing or consulting? So what is the Ascension ladder? Because if you're just going out with a low ticket offer, that's really, really not likely going to be profitable for you for your Facebook ads. So the Ascension offer. Has the offer been proven? So have they been selling it organically? Okay, so that they know that I've created this, I've been selling it with people that I've been talking to, and typically that's warm audiences in some way. So you have a higher conversion rate, but at least still it's been selling. Okay, so a proven offer. And do they even have a funnel? And again, some people might go, well, what even is a funnel? So do they have that acquisition to be able to get someone from Facebook off over onto their website, where they can opt in, get onto their database, or even go and make a purchase for the product? So a lot of people will go to an ad manager and they don't have a funnel in place. They don't have all these necessary pieces for us to drive traffic to. And then also another big piece of the puzzle is, if you are wanting to put money into Facebook ads, you want to be able to track them to see how they're performing. When you're doing a conversion campaign, you'll say to Facebook, I want to do a conversion campaign and I'm going to optimize it for this purchase event, okay, so that it fires after someone's purchased. So if you have website assets, and this is quite often for people who are using third-party software. So like if, for example, you're a multi-level marketer and you use their platform, you may not be able to access the code in the funnel to install that purchase event. So if you want to run a purchase campaign, then you'll say to Facebook, I want a conversion campaign, optimize it for purchases. So send it out to people who are likely to purchase. And then Facebook will send it out to that audience. That purchase event will fire. Facebook says, aha, this is the audience that you want. I'll go find more of them. But if you can't put the tracking, necessary tracking in your funnel, like that purchase event when someone purchases, Facebook's going to be flying blind. It will not be able to track these conversion events. And so therefore that message won't be going out back to Facebook saying, hey, people are buying this, or people are going to the website like you want us to. People will click and then Facebook will lose everything and they'll go, people aren't purchasing, or they're not landing on the page because there's no pixel on there. And so therefore it's going to go, people don't want to see this offer, so we're going to give it a higher CPM, and you won't know what's working. So that's another essential thing, being able to have the necessary tracking in place so that data can come back to Facebook. Facebook can say, yes, we're on track, we'll get you more people like this and start getting you better results. And also you or your ad manager can see the numbers that are coming through, and then, like we said earlier, identify where the issues are in the funnel or optimize those things that are working well.
So I think it's, it's so interesting, all of this. Like there's so many little nuances and details to it. And like how long, so you're like, okay, I'm going to start this, you launch it. Is there a timeline you would say that typically you'll know within this amount of time if this is working? This is how what are some of those data points that you need to look for, and when do you adjust, or when do you pull the plug because you're like, this isn't working at all, we need to go back to the drawing board?
Yeah, one of my favorite memes is, I think it's the American Choppers guy, and he's there, he's throwing a chair across the room saying, Facebook ads don't work, I spent $10. And that's the problem. A lot of people, and it is, like I said, it's a scary thing, launching an ad going, oh my gosh, there goes my money, right? So you spend $20 and you go, oh, I haven't got a conversion, I'm turning it off. Facebook needs data. And we would typically say that you want to have 8,000 impressions before you turn an ad off. How much is it going to cost you to get to 8,000 impressions? Well, that's going to depend on various factors. If it's costing you $20 for a CPM, which is to reach 1,000 people, then it's going to cost you less to reach that 8,000 people than if your CPMs are $120, right? It's going to cost you a lot more to reach 8,000 people. And your CPM, well, that'll go up and down depending if Facebook thinks your ad is any good quality or the audience targeting might be very competitive. And so you've got that high CPM. But 8,000 is a great number. And so typically that would be at least 48 hours. Okay. So if you can't get to the 8,000, say about 48 hours, you may see, what will always happen. I'll give you this heads up though. 48 hours, you go, nothing's happened. I'm turning this off. And then you'll see a lead has come through or whatever you were wanting to happen. You go, oh, and so then you go to turn it back on again. With all the changes that's happened with Facebook as well, is that there is a delay in the attribution, which means that even though someone might click and they've opted in or purchased, you may not see that in your Facebook Ads Manager for another up to 3 days. So there is that delay, which makes it extra tricky as well. So always make sure that while you've got your ads running, check in the back end, go over to your CRM or whatever you're seeing for your landing page and see, are people coming to my landing page? Great. Has anybody actually opted in? Well, yes, they have opted in. So I'll keep going with the ads here because I know it's brought in some leads, and I'll see how if that attribution all catches up. So it is a bit tricky. Patience is the name of the game, but I do understand that, you can't just keep throwing money at Mark Zuckerberg. So, 2 to 3 days generally, if you can, write it out. But I mean, if you have launched your ads and you can see if the click-through rate is low, the CTR link clicks, if you're wanting to get people off of Facebook over to a landing page and to opt in, you want that to be around 1%. So if your ads have launched and it's only got, say, about a 0.3% click-through rate, then that's a good indication that you're going to need to do some work on the ad to improve that click-through rate. So start getting that ready. And then, yes, you've got my permission to change that out. Certainly, at least after a day to go, okay, let's see if this next version will get a higher click-through rate.
Yeah, I think that's very valuable advice. So I really appreciate that. So what have you seen is what are the most successful ad campaigns you've seen, or what types of businesses? Maybe that's two separate questions, but I think it'd be interesting to know what is the thing that seems to be the most successful in terms of conversion, and what types of business have you seen this work the best for?
Oh, that is a big
Maybe
question.
That's a loaded question.
So I will say, one of the most competitive niches will be in the coaching space, right? So especially female coaches or any sort of, I'll teach you how to be an expert and make money from home, and you create your online course and all of that, or financial kind of things. They're always really, really competitive, and the prices have gone up a lot. So like I was mentioning, CPMs, that cost per meal, cost per 1,000 people, that's likely going to be high. So that's competitive, right? Still works, but competitive. Then there's other niches, and what I love and works really well. So like I mentioned earlier that I had a client with a $27 product and made $1 million with that product, right? And that was in the craft space. So I know people who have made millions of dollars with craft, making cookies, covering chairs as well, has been someone who, I don't know if they've hit the $1 million mark, but they've done very well. They have multiple 5-figure launches, even 6-figure launches when they're doing a thing of how to cover a chair. So it's not just, business, that business to consumer space does really well as well. And a lot of what I would call these passion hobbies, painting and all that kind of stuff, can do really well on Facebook and have a nice low cost per lead. I know of one who is got a promotion at the moment about gut health, and that is doing extremely well as well. So yeah, so things like that work really nicely.
Do you find it really those all sound like very specific, right? Like gut health, making cookies, covering chairs. Like it's not too broad. It's like, here's a very specific thing. Do you find that's easier to target?
Well, for sure. So, yes, and I was just talking to someone about that today, about really identifying who the ideal avatar is. And it's like making a sub niche of a niche, right?
Yep.
So, let's see for an example. So, if you're sub niche, if you were health, right? So, it's, female health, but then going a bit further, menopausal women, right? So it's like identifying this first niche and then going down to some sub niches, which again, like I said, with Facebook, losing a lot of the audience targeting, and how sometimes we've got to go really broad with our targeting now. It's having that clarity of who it is that you're talking to. So that specific niche that really helps to define who it is that you're talking to, and being able to talk to them and address those pain points, those issues, their desires in the ad copy that you create. So, gone are the days where you can just make really generic, fluffy copy in your ads and on your landing pages. You really need to know who it is that you're talking to, and then being able to pull out those points. Because, if you're just saying, yes, I help females get healthy and lose weight, well, the pain points for a 50-year-old woman is going to be very different to, say, a 25-year-old woman. Okay, and their thoughts and why they may want to lose weight, or the struggles that they've had losing weight. So that's even more important than ever.
And that to me really loops around to what I do, which is the branding and the messaging, and really having that clarity around your audience and what makes you different, and what kind of language you use, so that when you do create ads, that you have that consistency and that it does stand out. It does stop the scroll, which I think is really important. And I think it's, when I talk to people about having a target audience, it doesn't have to be like, a micro niche. But I think when it comes to advertising, what I'm hearing is you kind of want to take your niche and create little sub niches that you could target specific ads to. Would that make sense?
For sure. And then, so you can have your ads targeting that sub niche, and have that really dialed in. And then to scale, that's where you would identify, because most of us have got several different avatars that we can promote our offer to, who are our ideal clients. So once you've got one dialed in and you're wanting to scale things up, go, okay, so here is another audience that we can serve in this way and with this offer. And then again, address the copy, create a landing page that is speaking to them as well.
Yeah, I love that. I think that ties in beautifully with sort of really being clear. I think you can't create Facebook ads until you have clarity on your branding, right? Your messaging, what your look and feel is, what you're selling. And I think these two things tie in together. And I think a lot of times people are like, I'm just going to create Facebook ads, and that's, we're going to do what everyone else is doing. And then you don't stand out. You sound like everybody else. You don't have that clarity. And to me, you have to get the clarity and do that deep work first before you can, create a Facebook ad or, really put yourself out there without blending in with everybody else.
Yeah. And that can be such a scary thing, right? Because sometimes we're afraid to go, oh no, because I want to get as many customers as I want. So I need to have this nice and broad. If I narrow it down, I'll scare off too many people. You will still attract others. There still will be people on the fringe, right, who will still come in, even if you're not exactly talking to them. Like before, we mentioned the client attraction code, and I said, well, actually, this is designed to talk to ad managers, right? But coaches and various other people who want to learn Facebook ads all can use this training as well. I'm just not talking to them in the messaging and the sales page, because I had to go through this exact same journey, like you just mentioned, identifying who it is. Because I was like, okay, I'm going to teach coaches and such how to run Facebook ads. But then I was still wanting to talk to ad managers. So my own messaging was very sort of hazy and unclear. And it was only when I really went, okay, I'm talking to ad managers, they are really my people, that I was really able to see a big shift in my business, because I was talking their language. I wasn't trying to please everybody and therefore muddy the waters.
I love it. I feel like that is the perfect way to wrap this up. And thank you so much, Jody. How can people find you if people want to connect, if they want to get that that guide that you shared? What's the best way for people to connect with you?
You can just find me over at my website, jodymillwood.com.
Amazing. I will make sure to share that link in all of the streaming. And thanks again for joining me today. I hope everyone found that valuable and useful. And it's got me starting to think about, is our Facebook ad something I want to tackle again? We'll see. Thanks again, Jody.
My
Bye,
pleasure.
everybody.
Thank you.